Hi, this is Becky DeGrossa with CounselingWise.com, and what I'm going to do in this video is walk you through a couple of different therapists' Google Analytics accounts. And what I want to do is give you an idea of how to come into your account and look at specific data and get an idea of what's going on in your marketing. This first therapist is a national therapist. This is the analytics data for Shopaholic No More, Dr. April Benson in New York, and her account is going to be quite different than a local therapist account, and so I'm going to end up showing you some other local accounts here in a second. But to start with, when you first get into a Google Analytics account, you're going to have a screen like this, and it'll show you how many people visited the site in the last month, and this is going to be unique visitors. You can see that number here. And then how many visits total. So obviously the total visits is higher than the unique visitors, so some people visited more than once. You can see that the numbers that I usually look at to see how well things are meshing is the pages per visit. Are the people coming and staying for a little while, or are they coming and just leaving? I would always like to see this ideally around 3 and above, but if you're national and you get a lot of traffic, you're probably going to get some traffic that doesn't really fit. It's not relevant. For instance, for her, she gets some traffic for people who are looking for that Confessions of a Shopaholic book or movie, and so they aren't going to stay very long when they realize that she's a therapist who really works with this issue seriously. But this number can vary all over the place. If you have really good engagement on your site, which is what you're really after, they're going to stay for 3 pages at least on average. Also, the average visitor duration, I like to see that at 3 minutes or above. And again, this is a little low. She's national. She's getting some traffic that doesn't fit. Her bounce rate is pretty good. Bounce rate, anything below 60, I consider fairly decent. You're always going to get people who come to your website and look at one page and leave because it doesn't fit them. It doesn't fit really what they're looking for. And that's what the bounce rate basically depicts. It's the percentage of visits that came and only looked at one page and then left. So these are the main numbers that I look at. I really look at unique visitors. How is that doing? Is it growing over time? The pages per visit, the average visitor duration, and the bounce rate. Now, one thing that you can do in your account is you can choose your date range that you're looking at up here in the top right, and then you can always compare it to a previous period, okay? So if you compare it to just the previous period, it's going to go to the previous month. You can also set this to compare it to the previous year. So that would be May of last year that it would be comparing it to here. But for now, what I'm going to do is just show you what it looks like if we just compare month to month. And so we can look here. The orange is last month's data. The blue is this month's data. And what we can see is that she's basically flat in terms of visits. Okay, she's down less than a percentage for her overall visits, down 1.8% for uniques. Her numbers are slightly down compared to where they were last year. New visits up. But basically, she's very consistent in terms of her traffic. That's what this will tell us. So now, just to keep the data simpler, I'm going to get rid of the comparison, and then I'm going to take you into some other things that I look at. So first, when I go into an account, I'm going to look at the traffic sources. And if you look at the overview within the traffic sources, what you'll get is a breakout of what the data is. Oh, I'm sorry, it's still showing there we go. Get rid of both months so it's not so cluttered. It'll show you that she has 50 whatever percent of search traffic, and then 23% of her traffic is coming direct, meaning people are typing in a URL, and then 24% of her traffic is referral traffic. Okay, so you always want to have a mix. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket and totally rely on search or totally rely on referral. You're going to see a lot of direct traffic if you're sending people to your website through email and that type of thing, email marketing. But a mix is going to be good. Now, in terms of the keywords, the top keywords are going to show here in this screen. And so this is what people are typing in to get to her. Unfortunately, Google, you're always going to see a not provided at the top. And that's unfortunately going to be the majority of the search traffic. So Google is hiding the terms from us that are bringing traffic to the site. Who knows why? They cite privacy reasons, but who knows why? I think it's mainly so that we don't try to manipulate search, but whatever. You used to be able to get a lot more of these, and they're hiding a lot more these days. But we can still see that she gets a fair amount of traffic for the term Shopaholic, and then Shopaholics Anonymous. So what we're going to find out is, just by peeking at this, is this traffic relevant? Is it relevant to what she does? We can see that there's some logins to her account and that type of thing. That's okay. But basically for these terms, is the traffic relevant to what she's doing? That's what you want to look at. The next thing that I look at is I then go further into the sources of the traffic. And the reason for this is that I want to see if there's any data that is showing me that there's a good new traffic source, or people are sticking longer, or anything like that. One thing you can do is the direct traffic is simply people who are typing in the URL or clicking on a direct URL. So in this case, she has done some email marketing, and she's sending out emails, and people are clicking on these specific links to go to her site and read things. So we can look at that and we can say, okay, how's it doing? And the things that you want to look at here are average visitor duration and the bounce rate. That's typically what I look at. So again, anything with a bounce rate less than 50 is a really good deal. So overall, her bounce rate is still less than 50 here for this. And what we can see is that when people come to her homepage directly, they are, within that realm. When people were going to her free teleseminar, they were definitely staying. Okay, only 21% of them were leaving after just looking at that page. So that was really good. We can also look at how long they stayed, and that gives us an indication that these were good. Now we can see some other things though. For instance, there's a video on her site, and we can see that people only stayed 37 seconds for that, and there was an 81% bounce rate. So we can tell that is not really doing anything for them. Okay, and then we can factor that knowledge into the marketing going forward and realize that we should be doing something different there. So that's the kind of thing that you want to look at. We can also see here that even though only 6 people went to this tips for tracking spending, that only 33% of them bounced. Now, it's also strange that the average visitor duration wasn't very long. So we would have to look at that and see what's up and see if we could change something. It could be that this is simply a page that would send people to other pages very quickly, kind of a gateway page. So you want to look at things like that and see if people are sticking or not, and if they're not, is there a reason? Are they going somewhere else? So that's just the high-level look that I will take for direct traffic. Now let's look at referral traffic. And I'll get into this a little bit more when we get into the local sites. But for referral traffic, we can look at this and we can say, okay, who's staying the longest? What are the best referral sources? Here we can see that Indiana EDU sends her a fair bit of traffic every month, and the average visitor duration is over 2 minutes. So that's really good, low bounce rate. So that's a really good referral source. It would be great if she could do something to even strengthen that relationship and get more referrals from that location. You can look at this site here and you can see that it's not nearly as good. It's down 48 seconds and a higher bounce rate. So this is the kind of thing that you want to look at. In particular, when it comes to social media, you want to take a good look at that. And actually, Google now gives you a different social link that you can plug. So I'm going to go ahead and click social, and then I'm going to go to network referrals, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. If you go down here, you can see that she has traffic from Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And what we want to do is we want to look at how well that traffic fits and how long they're staying. So as you can see, they're not staying very long. So she may want to do some other things. She may want to send them to different pages on her site that will engage them further. She may want to set up her marketing differently so that she's getting them curious about a specific aspect of what she does. But looking at this is really important. You don't want to just say, oh, this is great, I have 123 visitors from Twitter, it's working. You really want to see if they're staying on your site and if they're doing anything. Okay, so now I'm going to go back up to the sources, and I'm going to take you into search. And within search, we're going to look at organic. If you're doing paid search, meaning AdWords, you can click there, but if you're not, you just want to look at organic. So when we go here again, we see this big number not provided, but down here in the right, you're going to see that there's various rows, and you can expand this so that you can include all the data. And then you can just scroll through this and see what's happening. Now again, we can tell that there's a lot of relevant data. There's a lot of things that have to do with, shopping and help for shopaholics and that type of thing. So that's all very good. Another thing that we can do is we can click on this at the top, the average visitor duration, and it's going to rate the visitors by how long they stayed. It's going to rank them in that order. So we can see this, that someone in Houston, Texas is needing help. They came to the site and they stayed for 21 minutes. So that's a really, really good engagement level. And what you're going to typically find is that these terms that are longer and more specific, they're really going to stay longer because they're looking for something very specific and they're finding it on her site. Okay, so you can take a look at this, and this can also give you a really good clue as to certain content that you can add on your site to get people to come and stay longer. It's a very good indicator of what they're looking for and what they like. So we can just go through here and check that out. And one thing that she may want to do is there seems to be like how to help shopaholics down here, how to help a shopaholic, shoppingaholic, whatever. There's always going to be a lot of spelling errors in this stuff. But she could then say, oh wow, that's interesting. So they're staying quite a while when they're asking for this help term. So I wonder if I need to have a really good page on my site that has a lot of helping tips, okay? And that'll keep people staying longer. This is the kind of thing that you can tell from looking at this data. Okay, so there's one other thing that I'm going to show you here in this account, and then I'm going to move to a local therapist account. One thing that you can do is you can set up alerts. So let's say that April decided that on some date she was going to actually start marketing in a different, maybe in LinkedIn or in Facebook or something differently, or sending something to another list or something. So what she could do is she could annotate her timeline. And this is a really important thing to do because over time, 2 years from now, she's not going to remember that she started some new Facebook marketing thing, right? And so what she could do is annotate her timeline. You just click this little arrow down here. You say create new annotation. And then let's say that she was doing this on May 26th. We're going to change the date here, and then we're going to say whatever we want to say, new Facebook campaign, and then maybe on Facebook she was offering a new ebook on tips for family of shopaholics or something like that. I have no idea, but let's say that's what she was doing. So you save that, and then what you'll see here is a circle on the timeline. So over time, she and here you can see that there's a traffic increase. I just put it there after the fact, of course. But what she could do over time is take a look at these annotations to see what is working in her marketing. So the annotations are a great way for you to remember kind of what worked and what didn't work. If this went down after doing that, then that wouldn't have been a very good idea, okay? So that's how you do annotations. Now what I want to do is take you into a local therapist account so that you can see the difference, and so that I can also show you one other thing regarding studying the audience that is coming. Okay, now I'm in a local therapist account, and this is a psychologist in Berkeley, California. I'm actually not going to reveal this person's information because they're pretty private. But this is an account that has very few visits, as you can see. 79 visits per month right now. Now, your account may look more like this. Most local therapists don't have 2,500 visitors per month. So your account may look more like this, and I wanted to let you know that this therapist actually does very well. So you don't have to worry about having thousands and thousands of visitors in order to do well online. What you do want to worry about is that you have relevant visitors and that when they come to your site they engage and that you get phone calls. So in this case, I happen to know that this person ranks very well for terms like therapist Berkeley, psychologist Berkeley, etc. And also I know that she gets phone calls. So what I want to show you is a couple of different things. First of all, if we go into the traffic sources again, do that first, and we'll look at the overview. So when we go down here, we're going to see that she gets traffic for Berkeley, psychologist terms, that type of thing. Okay, and some of these have her name on them, so I'm fading them out so that you can't see that. But she gets very relevant traffic for Berkeley, as you can see. And then when we go further into the data, we're going to be able to see what's really happening with it. So as you can see, her organic traffic, there's only 43 visits per month right now that come from search directly, from people typing in terms and coming to her site. But they're staying for 2.5 minutes. Bounce rate is low. This is good. Her direct traffic, people are typing in her URL and they're coming. They're not staying as long directly, but they're coming. And then she has a variety of referral sources, mainly directory listings and that kind of thing, like Angie's List, etc. The other thing that we're going to see, however, is, and this is really important to check, you can look at the keywords themselves like we did in terms of Berkeley therapist, Berkeley psychologist, and we know the traffic is relevant. What we also want to do is we want to look at the audience. And the reason you want to look at audience is because you may be getting traffic, but it may not be local traffic, and you want to make sure that it is. Now, in this case, since they're looking for Berkeley terms, we're pretty sure they are local. But sometimes you may get a lot of traffic for something like an issue that you work with. I have another therapist I work with that specializes in depression and bipolar, and she gets tons of traffic for the term soft bipolar. And we looked at the demographics on that, and it turns out most of the traffic isn't coming from her town. So it's great that she's getting that visibility and she's attracting readers, but wouldn't it be better if she beefed up her local optimization and had some local listings so that she could actually get traffic from people who could become clients? So under audience, demographic, and location, you want to check that out. Now, we can look here and we can see that most of the traffic is in the United States for this person, which is a good thing. 79 visits and 65 of them come from the US. That's great. If you click on United States, you can drill down further, and the darkest state, the darkest region is the one where most of the traffic is coming from. So in her case, it's good that it's California because that's where she's from. If we drill down further into California, again, we can see most of the traffic is around Berkeley. And down here in the city list, we can see San Francisco, Berkeley. There is some traffic up here in the Los Angeles area, but most of it is Bay Area. San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, Richmond, San Jose, etc. Okay, so this is very good traffic for her. It is definitely coming from people who could become clients, and this is exactly what you want to see in your account. If you have traffic that comes from other places and not much locally, then you know that maybe you need to get a Google Places listing ranked or beef up the local optimization on your site so that you're attracting people in your town. Okay, one final thing that I wanted to cover with you before I go is for local therapists, you may be in directories, such as Psychology Today, GoodTherapy.org, etc., etc. Those will show up under referrals. Now, this therapist doesn't happen to be in those directories, but one thing I've noticed is that there are some therapists who will get a lot of traffic from certain directories, and when I actually look at the visitor duration, it's terrible. Okay, so you're gonna notice most likely that there's a big difference between certain directories, and I'm not even going to mention the names of them, but Psychology Today tends to deliver very well-fitting clients, people who are really looking for a therapist, and if they come to your site, they stay for a long time. And there's some other sites that I found they deliver a lot of traffic, maybe almost as much as Psychology Today, but the people don't stay. So that's always a clue for me that maybe that therapist shouldn't be paying for that directory listing anymore, because they seem to be delivering a lot of non-relevant traffic. So give that a look in your account if you have one set up. And if you don't have a Google Analytics set up yet, you can look to the bottom of the blog post that goes with this video, and it'll show you how to set one up. I highly encourage you doing that. It will really help you understand whether your marketing is working or not, and where you should be putting more energy in terms of your marketing, because it seems to be paying off with visitors who are staying on your website and engaging with you, and that should result in phone calls. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. Please feel free to comment and let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'm happy to help you. Thanks.